to News Hour. I am Gegbai. Coming up in tonight's edition of News Hour, the President of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, calls on President Nkrumah. Sierra Leone's envoy to the Islamic Republic of Iran, Honorable Ali Kamara, and the ambassador to Guinea take leave of President Nkrumah. To reduce early marriage, One Family People, in collaboration with Kids Advocacy Network, launches a campaign called Hair Choice, and passengers of Royal Air Maroc demonstrate over their missing luggage. All these and more, including business and sports news, are coming up in the next 45 minutes. President Ernest Bai Koroma has announced a support of $50,000 by Sierra Leone in keeping with the protocols that countries support the implementation of IFAD 10. The announcement was made when the president of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, Dr. Kanago Nwazi, paid a courtesy call on President Ernest Bai Koroma at State House. Razia Bashkamara reports.
Introducing the President of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security, Professor Monty Jones, said he is in Sierra Leone on a two-day working visit. Briefing President Nkrumah on his visit, Dr. Kadayo Nwanze thanked the President for giving him and his team the opportunity to meet with him at State House and congratulated President Nkrumah for his efforts in containing the Ebola crisis in the country. He said it was actually the period he wanted to visit the country in 2014 but had to cancel the visit due to the outbreak. Dr. Nwanze pointed out that he is aware of the personal efforts that His Excellency the President put into the fight against Ebola by traveling to the provinces literally and being in contact with the population and showing deep concern. The president of IFAD lamented that the unfortunate part of it is that the outbreak actually interrupted the plans the president had put in place for Sierra Leone to be a middle-income country by 2035. Dr. Nwanze maintained that the plan had 8 very inclusive pillars, but he thinks the recovery plan that the government has put together for the next 24 months is one that IFAD has to subscribe to.
As you know, Sierra Leone has been one of our countries of focus in the region since 1980, basically working with the Ministry of Agriculture over the years, investing in rural areas. One of our most successful efforts have been the microfinance institutions, which you may have known that during the Ebola crisis, it was basically many communities, it was the only financial institution that was available for the communities to be able to do any sort of banking operations. And we are happy that the institutions remained open even during the height of the crisis. Of course, we do have some ongoing programs. I won't go into those details. I'm sure Professor must have mentioned to you the various areas of our work. But I think what I really want to emphasize is we're going through what we call a strategic phase where we develop country strategies. The last strategy actually ended in 2015. Is it
correct? 2015.
And so we're developing a new strategy, a 5 to 10 year strategy, which we call the country, well, in short, we call it the COSOP, which is basically a country strategic plan, which we develop with the government, with the ministry, and other development partners. It has to go through parliament approval before it even comes to my board, because it's a country strategy that should be owned by the government. And this is where I think we can greatly support the plan that you have, the prosperity plan, because going forward, it can cover 2 cycles of 2 or 3 years, which is until 2021. starting from 2016 to 2021.
Welcoming the president of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, President Kuruma appreciated the effort that government has been provided with IFAD. The president said he is aware that IFAD is working very closely with the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security, and that the area of intervention are just in line with what they have earlier proposed as a government to transform Sierra Leone. He added that government believes strongly that if they have to address poverty in the country, they have to focus on building up the agricultural sector. President Kuruma maintained that if government has to address the issue of diversifying the economy, agriculture should be the emphasis among several others. The president pointed out that it is the reason why when as government they started off with the agenda for change and then subsequently with the agenda for prosperity, they always prioritize the agricultural sector as the area for intervention. He disclosed that the government had made some headway before Ebola struck, as the president of IFAD clearly indicated. Sierra Leone's GDP was projected in 2014 as 13.2%, and as a government, they achieved the target until the time Ebola struck, during which time everything went down. The president lamented that at that point in time, the government and the nation had the twin effects of Ebola and also the drop in prices of iron ore, which further emphasized the need for the government to diversify the country's economy. He pointed out that IFAD had been quite supportive by providing a lot of support in building up Sierra Leone's agricultural sector in the rural areas by creating the kind of infrastructure that is required in building the country's roads. President Kuruma maintained that in providing support to the country, IFAD also by creating market opportunities and making finance available to farmers, which was working well before the interruption of Ebola.
Yes, I am happy that you're here to have a first-hand experience of the support that you have been providing us, and we are happy as a country that IFAD is here, and I think we must seize this moment in keeping with the protocols that have been happening, that countries support the replenishment of IFAD 10 to announce support by Sierra Leone for $50,000.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And I hope you understand where we are coming from. But this is a commitment that we have to collaborate with IFAD, and we appreciate the effort IFAD has been making, and we look forward to continuing this journey of building up our agricultural production and productivity, and also in the way diversifying the economy. So once more, let me thank you, and also thank you for the great work you have done in the past, especially in the Nerika project. And both of you have collaborated to ensure that we feel very proud that we have people like you to have supported that project, and which is now benefiting a good number of the people around the world. Okay, thank you. Yes, we'll definitely find a place in my desk.
apologize for that little technical hitch. A stakeholders forum on students' governance in the University of Sierra Leone has been held at the St. Anthony's Hall site streets. The forum saw the presentation of the new form of students' governance on the theme Organizing for Effective Participation proposal on resumption of students' governance. Hawana Tukante takes up the story.
Attracted students from the various campuses of the University of Sierra Leone, National Union of Sierra Leone Students, and dilated on the conduct of elections, rules governing the conduct of elections, roles of the university administration and stakeholders. Proposing the student governance structure, the acting Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of Sierra Leone, Professor Ekundayo Thompson, said the Universities Act of 2005 makes provision for students' participation in the process of managing and administering the affairs of the university. He added that over the years, participation of students in the various structures of the university was ineffective. The proposal, Professor Thompson said, seeks not only to increase the level of students' participation in the affairs of the university through a new form of governance, but also address the challenges of increase of violence among students.
We are very much interested in those who are going to succeed us, not only in the university, but those who will be managing the affairs of the state of Sierra Leone. Very soon, some of us will retire from public life. And in my old age, I'm already an elderly person, we do not want to be in a country where you have a group of anarchists holding the reins of governance in this country. We do not want that, because we have anarchists in the University of Sierra Leone, and we are calling them to order. And some of these anarchists have been influencing you students to do things untoward, to do things outside the legal framework, and to do things in contravention of the law which circumscribes our functions in the university: teaching, research, and community service. That's what by law we are mandated to do.
The president of the National Union of Sierra Leone Students, Sheridan Kamara, condemned the proposal, especially on the single presidency for the three campuses. He called on authorities to give them the opportunity they have to say, govern themselves with no interference, and conduct student union elections in each campus. He suggested that they put a day aside to look at their strengths and weaknesses and see how they will use the proposal, and include representatives from the Ministry of Education, Office of National Security, and civil society. The new form of student governance shall have faculty student representative committee comprising a chair, student governing council, campus coordinating committee, faculty student representative committee from each faculty, and faculty electoral colleges in FBC, IPAM, and Commerce. Awana Tukonte reporting for SLBC.
The Gambian ambassador to Sierra Leone has paid a courtesy call on the Minister of Political and Public Affairs, Madam Nanette Thomas, at her U building office in Freetown. The visit was to explain the mandates of the ministry to the Gambian ambassador and to strengthen the relationship between the two countries. Daphne Kimam-Macaulay filed in this report.
Gambian ambassador to the Minister of Political and Public Affairs was for the ministry to explain its mandate to the Gambian ambassador and to strengthen the relationship between Sierra Leone and the Islamic Republic of the Gambia. According to the Minister of Political and Public Affairs, Madam Nanette Thomas, the ministry was established in 2008 to serve as a bridge between the government and the people, and also to monitor the progress of the legislature.
The Gambia and Sierra Leone has a very good political and diplomatic relationship over the past years. The two sister countries are linked by history. Sierra Leone relies on significant amounts of foreign assistance from both bilateral and multilateral donors. especially during the Ebola crisis. Madam Ambassador, you would recall that during the Ebola virus, your government assisted the government of Sierra Leone with human resources and as well as financial.
The minister said the ambassador's visit will be the start of further cooperation between the two countries. The Gambian ambassador to Sierra Leone said, in history, Sierra Leone and the Gambia were governed by one colonial master, which means the two countries have similar cultures and the same names of streets.
With all of you, starting from when I got out of the car. That is very important.
It's very important.
It is very important. Having somebody meet you when you arrive. It has a lot of meaning in it. And I quite appreciate that.
The Ministry of Political and Public Affairs is responsible to supervise public offices charged with the responsibility of delivering good value of democracy and good governance. The ministry also identifies issues of national interest and the performance of government.
Special Advisor to President Alhaji Alpha Cannon, on behalf of President Ernest Bai Koroma, has sympathized with the family of late Manja Parkinson. The Special Advisor was accompanied by Deputy Minister of Information Cornelius Devo, Chairman Board of Trustees SLBC Festus Mina, and senior staff of the SLBC. Abubakar Bangura reports.
Very sorry about this. Mr. Chairman.
In his tribute on behalf of President Ernest Bai Koroma, the special advisor said he is at the family home to represent the president and leader of the APC and the entire APC party, and extended heartfelt condolences on behalf of the president, the government and the APC to the bereaved family for the late versatile broadcast journalist. He said President Ernest Bai Koroma has noticed the work of the late journalist and has always been following her good reports on radio and television, saying the late Manja did her work diligently and served humanity well. The special advisor said the country has lost an important personality in the media as the president feels the irreparable loss of a journalist that has made a great mark on the media landscape in Sierra Leone.
Not in my capacity, the capacity of the representative of His Excellency, President Ernest Bai Koroma. We all daddy in the country. We're also the leader and chairman of the party. But President Koroma and Apostle way, they notice people. As you can tell, we say, when you are president, you are big past all my head. When you are president, you yes big past all my head. So you hear more, you see more. So Usai we lesser mortals, they see one, so they will see 50 things in there. And nothing will escape out of this country, especially for people where they do their work diligently. And as such, the young lady here today got on call. Now, one of the people where President Koroma don't pay attention to, you always notice them whenever they report from the east. So, in fact, the name he lies, Manja Balima Sanda. So today we've lost somebody. One very important cog in the wheel of the media wheel, Manja Parkinson, formerly known as Manja Balima Samba. May her soul rest in peace. So Zemeka bring this small token for now for assistance on the preparations.
He said her work on earth has left a test in the sand of times. The special advisor described the death of Manja Parkinson as a big loss not only to the family, the SLBC, but the country as a whole. The elder sister of late Manjia, Mrs. Wanda Ganda, on behalf of the family, expressed thanks and appreciation to the President and the entire APC party for sympathizing with them during this time of grief of a dear sister. She said this clearly indicates that the President is a caring and kind-hearted man. Mrs. Ganda conveyed special thanks to President Nkrumah for mourning with them and prayed for God's guidance and protection and divine mercies to ensure Sierra Leone becomes a better place.
I so appreciate this day, really. I'm highly impressed because Manjia came out from a humble home. But at this time, you know, when I come and feel for we, President saying, Una, so when I come to this humble home, my brother there with Una always, for can't cry, baby. I don't know waiting for safe to. I just tell Una say Una go tell Papa na the country, plenty thank you. We really appreciate what he don't do. And really don't tell we this day say it's there for we all. Even that humble person, even that lonely person, it's there for.
She also commended the board, management and staff of the SLBC for the glowing tributes being paid, adding that since the death of Manjia was announced, SLBC has shown the world that the late Manjia Parkinson was a true worker of the corporation. However, according to the family, there will be a laying out service on Thursday, 11th August.
A non-governmental organization called Action Center Lufon, ACF, has engaged different stakeholders at today's workshop on nutrition for growth assessments. ACF has been working with Scaling Up Nutrition Secretariat through the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. Hawa Mosiri takes up the story.
At the 2013 Nutrition Growth Summit, the government of Sierra Leone committed to increase their financial allocation to nutrition and food security and to create specific budget lines for nutrition in the Ministry of Health and Sanitation, Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security and other line ministries. The advocacy officer of ACF, Letitia Bachidi, says that the workshop is to update stakeholders about the recent assessments conducted by our organization and other partners in the Western area. In 2013, at the Nutrition for Growth Summit in London, leaders from government, national organizations, private sector, and the civil society gathered to place nutrition at the center of the global development agenda. The National Coordinator of Scaling Up Nutrition Movement, Office of the Vice President, Dr. Momofu, highlights that nutrition is one of the critical drivers for economic growth, and a healthy, productive life requires adequate nutrition. However, 2 billion people in the world, including nearly 200 million children under the age of 5, suffer from undernutrition. Undernutrition during the critical 1,000 days for pregnancy to a child's second birthday can cause irreversible stunting and mental impairment. Director of Food and Nutrition, Ministry of Health and Sanitation, Aminata Samit Koma, spoke about the commitment of government in the reduction of infant mortality across the country. She described breastfeeding as one of the best food for babies, which also allowed them to grow healthily. She requested for the recommendations and findings to be sent to Cabinet. Honorable Alassane of Constituency 96 and also the Deputy Chairman of Health Oversight Committee in Parliament pledged his continued support towards the Nutrition for Growth progress.
As a committee, we are dealing with the Committee of Health and Sanitation, of which the nutrition aspect entity of the department is part of. So what we've done this year is ask the nutrition department to supply us with information as to what their work program is, how they've been executed, what amount of money has been allocated, and how that has benefited the entire nation. So far, that's what we've done.
SABC TV News Eye in Freetown, Hawa Mosiri reporting.
Microfinance Trust Sierra Leone Limited has officially launched its small and medium enterprise loan facility and the opening of its new Freetown branch office at the Chris Ben Complex, Barracks Old Road. Our pastor Millicent Thomas filing this report.
Said Salon Microfinance Trust has stood tall both nationally and internationally. He called on the new Freetown branch to do its best in satisfying its clients. Chairperson Salon Microfinance Trust Board, Frances Kondo, assured clients that they will benefit a lot from the office.
Well, tell Papa God, plenty thank you today. Me, if you ask me today, I'd like to pass on myself where they can get the money there. Because it not be easy for let the board approve this particular program for let it come Freetown. So I want now at this point in time, do ya let us all grab no more and tell Papa God thank you. Oh, let me tell her thank you.
Managing Director, Microfinance Trust, Archibald Shudike, said the trust has been in existence for over 10 years and is now operating 9 branches in the country. He said before establishing the branch in Freetown, they did a lot of survey and their findings make them to come to Freetown to support businesses.
This now loan way they address the needs of clients then, where they do what we call the small medium business then. Business that will be small. Okay, where it different from that fananakit. You don't know that. So tell you they do sugar shop, you get big business small, where sometimes you employ 2-3 people themselves. Then sometimes go check the total business money or what you call the money with business or your capital. Sometimes you find out say this is 50 million, 100 million as the case may be. So that then kind target the SME facility they target.
Deputy Director from the Ministry of Trade, Fode Sori Bangura, congratulated Salon Microfinance Trust for their tremendous work over the years.
Sierra Leone's ambassador to Guinea, Mabinti Darami, and Sierra Leone's envoy to the Islamic Republic of Iran, Honorable Alimami Kamara, have taken formal leave of President Ernest Y. Kurmat, this House. Razia Bashkamara reports.
Two ambassadors, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Samura Kamara, said Madam Mabinti Darami will also accredited to Mali and Niger, and whilst Honorable Almami Amara Kamara will also be accredited to the Republic of Pakistan. Taking leave of the President, Ambassador Madam Mabinti Darami expressed profound gratitude to President Ernest Bai Koroma for the confidence granting her the opportunity to serve in his government in the last couple of years, adding that it was a great honor to serve her country and also to be working with the President. Madam Mabinti Darami also expressed sincere appreciation for the leadership of the President for also appointing her as deputy ministers in 2 different ministries, where she was able to acquire new knowledge, experience, and the know-how that will be pivotal to her present career as a diplomat.
I wish to say 2 things. First of all, as communication is the centerpiece of diplomacy, I will employ the virtues of simplicity, clarity, honesty to provide a clear channel of communication between our 2 governments. Second, I will continue to remain humble and committed to learning a lot and gaining much practical experiences in diplomacy, both at bilateral and multilateral spheres.
Taking leave of President Ernest Bai Koroma, the ambassador Honorable Almami Amara Kamara said it is a known fact to everybody that the president picked him from nowhere, and that his standing at that podium these days is a testament of the fact that the president's patience, courage, and ability in identifying people and making them become somebody out of nothing is extraordinary.
Believe that the confidence reposed in me, I cannot allow for you to be otherwise. And if that is true, of all the many lessons of morality you taught me, you are assured today, like any other time in my life, that I will uphold and do justice and be fair to all mankind.
Bidding farewell of the two ambassadors, President Ernest Bai Koroma congratulated them on their appointments and also for coming to the tail end of the procedures of formalizing their appointments. He expressed delight that both of them have come this far and they have acquired the required competencies and they have had exposure in governance which he believes will help them in their new assignments. President Ernest Bai Koroma went on that from their various submissions, they have also learned about what humanity is all about, that they've learned to be humble and have also acquired the skills of communicating. The president emphasized that he is sure that they have not entirely left the political arena, but now he emphasized is on diplomacy. He also expressed delight that by their submissions they have tried to learn the lessons of foreign diplomats from other ambassadors' trips were accredited to Iran.
Get it and establish a context. It has to be more of a business diplomacy, and there is so much potential out there. We have to revitalize that mission. We have to ensure that we increase the volume of transaction between the two countries, and it can only be done by somebody that is forward-looking, somebody with the energy that is required, and somebody that will think out of the box. So you are being sent there after a careful consideration of what the country is today and what we expect to derive from a very cordial relationship between us. So we hope, like you have said, you will hit the ground running. A lot of possibilities, a lot of offers have been sent, and I have just recently, after so many years of invitations, I've just recently accepted that I will visit Iran now. So it indicates that there has been a change. So you have a great responsibility there, and I believe that a lot of overtures have been made. We have to ensure that we seize the moment and transform these opportunities of serving in this country to real business benefits for us. Not only business coming into the country, but also business from the country going to Iran as we now exchange.
Up next is Business News with Haruna Tukante.
Hello and welcome to the Business Update with me, Haruna Tukante. We begin with the foreign exchange rate. The US dollar buys at 6,035 leons and sells at 6,157 leons. The British pound sterling buys at 7,981 leons and sells at 8,145 leons. And the euro buys at 6,757 leons and sells at 6,892 leons. Courtesy of the Central Bank. AfriCell Chief Corporate Affairs Officer Joe Abbas Bangura has officially launched the BBC World Service mobile content at the company's headquarters at Wilberforce. This will improve the quality of life of its listeners through the provision of information that empowers, enlightens, and enriches their listening experience. Here is an excerpt of the program.
Keep up with what's going on in the world.
The areas of partnership are twofold. Firstly, BBC World Service will provide regular sports and news updates for AfriCell subscribers as an interactive voice response IVR service. And secondly, the BBC World Service will be providing program content for air radio that will include, for the first time in Sierra Leone, BBC Minutes, which is a fast-moving bulletin for young listeners, a daily Premier League bulletin, a weekly Y Factor, BBC Trending, and Saturday and Sunday Sports World. The IVL service, which will commence immediately after this press conference, is new to Sierra Leone. The main objective of the service is to provide first-hand sports and news on demand on the APICEL network. The key advantage of the service is that with your handset, all you need to do is dial 313 to get the latest updates round the clock. The launch of this partnership represents another milestone in Air Radio's drive to be the premier providers of reliable, objective, cutting-edge sports news and entertainment in the country. AfriCell and Air Radio sees this partnership with the BBC as a natural one. Both entities share a similar vision, amongst other things, to improving the quality of life of its listeners through the provision of information that empowers, enlightens, and enriches the listening experience of our listeners. On behalf of the board, management, and staff of AfriCell, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the BBC for your belief and commitment in this project. It took us a long time to get to this point, but we're happy that we're now here today, and we feel very, very proud to be able to be partnering with the BBC.
The Divine Vocational Training Institute has held its 8th graduation ceremony at the Merta Conference Hall, Brookfields. The institute was established to provide vocational skills with legal sources of income through the method of self-reliance.
Over 30 students received certificates after completing an intensive training on modern catering methods and home economics. According to the chairman of the program, Reverend Nylenda Kagu, education for the girl child is a paramount policy by the government of Sierra Leone and the United Nations. He added that skills training is a privilege and a foundation. Therefore, graduates should embrace and believe in what they have acquired over the years.
Then they allow you. But now we use it from T, in no pass. Now school you don't so. Now by force they left school. For later picking other school back, you got plenty of 400,000. And how people get it begin is it from T, now you would pass. You know you would take her at the school. You say you go pay 400,000, what if you cannot take her back? Now trouble so now school don't so.
A member of the board, Divine Vocational Training Institute, Mabel Flourish-Bar, described the graduation as a new beginning and a platform of change and investment for organizations who strongly believe in vocational skills.
This has created a great deal of burden on government and partners to provide for the half-baked elites who still need to be cared for. Realistically, not all formally educated citizens can absolutely be cared for, not much to say about this rate of dropout.
She added that the Institute is a non-governmental organization initiated and designed to help dropouts and less privileged Sierra Leoneans, and it also provides vocational skills with legal source of income through the method of self-reliance. In a message, Reverend Mary Kamara told the graduates that the certificates were proofs that they have gone through learning procedures with intensified knowledge, which should be utilized well. She noted that vocational skills are expensive, therefore governments and partners should invest in it, saying that profit is a benefit after labor. Therefore, graduates should make use of knowledge gained.
If you're a sober student, you dey make money. Now make we dey talk about demonstration inside TechVoc. We dey talk about consumables. Inside TechVoc, the things that will involve very expensive. And the primary stage, we dey deal with the consumables. When you dey teach the person, you not forget any product where you go sell. So now there the losses day. they go now, it begin make profit.
The wife of the Minister of Mines and Mineral Resources, Mabinti Mansare, pledges support to the Divine Vocational Institute to see that it continues to offer advanced quality skills training to needy Sierra Leoneans. The distribution of startup kits and certificates climax the graduation ceremony.
That's the business update. I'm Ona Tukonte. Thanks for your time.
Many thanks to Havana Tukonte for the business update. 20 news admin points again. The president of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, begins a two-day visit to Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone's envoy to the Islamic Republic of Iran, Honorable Alimami Kamara, and the ambassador to Guinea, Mabinti Darami, have taken leave of President Nkrumah. To reduce early marriage, One Family People, in collaboration with Kids Advocacy Network, has launched a campaign called Her Choice, and passengers of Royal Air Maroc have demonstrated over their missing luggage. Well, that's all we have time for in tonight's edition of News Africa's Live on the SLBC. On behalf of my news editor, Asmi Ba, I am Anne-Marie Gegbai. For more information about our programs, do send us an email to www.contactus@slbc.sl. Thanks for watching. It's Using the News is next. Good night.
Today we shall be discussing the new form of students' governance that has been proposed for the Faculty of Students Representative Committee comprising the chair students. We will find out if the students agree with this proposal. Well, my name is Daphne Zainab Kamara. Stakeholders Forum on Students' Governance in the University of Sierra Leone has been held in Freetown. The forum saw the presentation of the new form of students' governance on the theme Organizing for Effective Participation proposal on resumption of students' governance. The meeting attracted students from the various campuses of the University of Sierra Leone, National Union of Sierra Leone Students, NUS, and dilated on the conduct of election, rules governing the conduct of elections, roles of the university administration, and stakeholders. But what does the National Union of Sierra Leone Students, NUS, make of this new proposal from the university? In the studios, I have the Public Relations Officer 2 of the National Union of Sierra Leone Students, NUS, Michael Michel Conte. Welcome to Issues in the News.
Thank you.
Now, how do you view this? Does NUS view this proposal?
Well, whatever NUS says, more especially in such a case, is a direct representation of what the students of the University of Sierra Leone have actually come out with. And for far too long now, for us, we are feeling as if too much of workload is being imposed on us because of the absence of student representation at the University of Sierra Leone. Notwithstanding, with relation to the the forum yesterday that was being conducted by the University of Sierra Leone, from a student's perspective, 100% of the students represented are opposed to that proposal, even though by the initial start it seemed as if it was an imposition. But thank God, contrary to what the Public Relations Officer of the University of Sierra Leone said here at the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, his bosses mentioned that it was a proposal, and so far the students themselves, 100% of the presentation, as I said earlier, have actually opposed to that proposal, because for us it's not in the favor of students, and it's not in any way towards ensuring that student unionism is being maximized in this area.
Now, Michael, regardless of the fact that you were saying it's a proposal, but let's take a look at the university
the Act of 2005, which makes provision for students to participate in the process of managing and administering the affairs of the university. Why do you think the university is seemingly dictating the pace of students' governance?
It's very simple for them to micromanage, because what you come to realize is the student body in most of these institutions are like pressure groups to the university, more especially in those situations where the university are not actually there to always enhance the welfare of the student. The students always try to liaise between the general student populace and their university administration. But if you find out, for the past 4 years, the University of Sierra Leone have not had student representation, and you can agree with me that.
But you have all worked. It has all gone well.
And what is very evident is that there have not been any improvements at the university. So if even the students were the problem, what have actually been the improvements at the university? For college is only boasting of one toilet. I cannot say for the same for IPAM that's not even having campus. They are merely fighting for seats, tables and benches at St. Edward's, Prince of Wales and other schools.
So in essence, you were saying when students were actively engaged in governance, they advocated for such
Definitely.
things. But it's the same thing, because you have been in governance, it's only for the past 4 years, and now it's the same for Bay Toilets, for Bay College, no toilet, and the IPAM, you're saying all of these things. What difference did it make whilst you were in active
at least before now, honestly, I want to say before now, students were converging together, and no sooner they were on campus. Let's say, for example, Friday College, they have situations where they were staying on campus, right? Staying on campus gave them the leverage for them not to be suffering from classes. But now we just have to key at model every morning. Imagine there are students from the provinces who are coming for them to get educations at Friday College, for example. But yet still there is no hostel for now. Yes, they'll boast that barrier project is about to start. But since I went to the university, these have been a song for quite a while now. But the reason why this new form of governance was proposed to be instituted, let me give you the secret. When you take a look at the composition of this new form of governance, say for example the Students Governing Oversight Committee, it's comprised of 7 people, and 3 representatives from the students and 4 representatives from the administration. If we are talking about democracy here, in other words, the decision is going to be taken from the administration on most occasions, because they have 4, the students have 3. And secondly, if they are talking about it's a way of mitigating the free flow of violence within the university or university elections. We are talking about, when you talk about the autonomy in the different campuses, we are talking about 3 elections, right? From IPAM, Fuabe College and Campus. And this FSRC is talking about 10 faculties, 4 from Fuabe College, 4 from Commerce and 2 from IPAM. So it's 10 elections. So if even that thing that was causing the violence is not being addressed, we are talking about an increase of over 7 types of violence again in this case. So rather, as a union, we are proposing that let the issues of violence be tackled and don't change the form of governance, because at the end of the day, you don't know, the different campuses do have different forms or different things that they are going through, unique problems in these different campuses, and one chairperson cannot actually address all of them at the same time.
Now, one of the reasons being given by the university is, it's saying that over the years, participation of students in various structures of governance has been a bit ineffective.
Well, they want to let it be ineffective, because if you have a university senate, say for example, you have Rabe College where you have different people from the administration, just a president there, just the president to represent the students. On most occasions, the decisions are not actually in favor of the student. But in this case, if we are to allow them to institute the student governance form, in fact, instead of us having a representative from Fuabe College, a representative from Commerce, and a representative from IPAM in these different settings, we'll only have one person for all these settings. And Another flaw of this particular particular form of
But you are
governance.
saying only 3, but the university is saying there will be an increase in the representative.
There will be an increase in the representative as in because we
And
have the
also they will
structure.
be able to help fight the challenge of increasing violence in politics.
But I've already told you that we are talking about 10 faculties here. You understand? They will be conducting 10 elections for 10 faculties. Now, let me give you an organogram of how this FSRC is going to be. You have 4 faculties from Fuabe College, 4 faculties from Commerce, and 2 from IPAM, which calculatively is actually saying that IPAM will not be having chance to even have chair, right? Because they are already disadvantaged, which means the system is not in favor of the student themselves. These 4 faculties would have one representative each, let's say from faculty level. Then from there they form what they call the faculty representative. Out of those faculty representative, you have one chair, and one chair will come from these 10 people. You understand? They would have to vote in out and things like that. So in other words, they are talking about more money to be spent on election instead of having student union election for a campus, which is 3. We are talking about 10 faculties and things like that.
They are taking up the cost. What has that got to do with you?
Is that their money? It's not their money. So taking up the cost is like wasting our own money. Remember, the university is being run from the students' fees because they are a department, an independent body on their own, divided from the government, unless now the Ministry of Education is giving subsidy on behalf of the student. So we pay 30%, the ministry pays 70%. It's still the students' money. It's not their money. So whatever wastage they do is an effect on us.
You are here representing NUS and you're saying you are against this proposal?
The students of the University of Sierra Leone, from their presentation, are against such a proposal. They want to go back to the autonomous type of system, and not this type which is geared towards ensuring that the university administration micromanage the whole affair of students. Let the students take charge of their own governance and supervise them. Not a matter of trying to see how best you could have 4 people dictating to 3 students on how should the various things be.
Well, maybe they were tired of that. That's why they're calling for 10 now.
And who is tired of that? This, we are talking about students' governance.
Because they do not want you to cry foul again, because they were more than you, 4 against 3, and now it's going to be 10 against 3. Or do you think they will increase their
These 10, remember, they are a constitute to form the chair. They are not a constitute to represent, let's say, the student, let's say, example, at the university court. Only the chair will be representing the student at the university court. So
let's talk about what will happen with this new proposal. What will happen to students' union politics, like FBC having its own president, and Jala University, although they are all under NUS. Let's talk about that. Would it be one president for all the campuses?
If this is to be instituted, we have one president for all the campuses. But what NUS and the students are saying is, let every campus have their own representative, their own president, as it were before. All the university need to do, or the university administration need to do, is let them try to see how best they could increase security during the process of elections, and try to see how best they could exact the laws. Because before now at the university, when a student raises a hand on his or her companion, you are being rusticated or expelled. What are these laws being kept for? Or is it a way to say, well, because violence is happening, that's the reason why they want to change the system? No, then otherwise we're expecting parliamentary elections not to occur again, because more often than not we do observe violences. We observe violences during presidential elections, but the processes or the forms are not being changed, but rather security are being increased, and try to see how this they could curtail the violence that is being occurred on most occasions.
So even though you've made your stance known to the university, have you dialogued with them to see whether they can withdraw this proposal and continue, or make it better so that students will be represented fairly?
For far too long, honestly, since time immemorial, the students, more especially on this Mohammed Sheridan Kamara's administration at NUS, our own way of working things is constructive dialogue. That's why now you don't see violence occurring, or violent bloody revolution of students, because they have respect for us and we try to dialogue. But one thing we have observed from this University of Sierra Leone's administration is total disrespect. They don't have respect for students, and in fact, they further gone on to be disrespecting the presidency because
do
the
they
chancellor
interfere in your elections?
That's the reason why on most occasions, from our observation, that's the reason why on most occasions violence are erupted. Because, for example, was it in 2011, 2010, 2011, you understand, there was a show of administrative involvement into student election, and no sooner the students see such an act, you understand, they are left with no option but to go into violent conduct. But one thing I know is soon and very soon, the university will be conducting their election, because this complaint will be going against the president, because the president had instructed them that by April they should have conducted election at the University of Sierra Leone, but they've shown total disrespect to the presidency and the chancellor of the university.
So would you just conduct elections without gaining permission?
We'll be engaging them very soon, because NUS convention, they are the only ones holding on to NUS convention now. That's a honest truth. We don't want 3 colleges to be disadvantaged at NUS convention. So we expect them to go back to the old system as the students have actually called for, and let them conduct election as soon as now. Should they call on elections tomorrow, we'll be very happy.
Okay, thank you very much. He is the Public Relations Officer 2 of the National Union of Sierra Leone Students, NUS, Michael Michel Conte, and we were discussing about the new proposal of governance participation for students in the universities. Many thanks for being part of Issues in the News. I've been Daphne Zainab Kama on behalf of my producer Simon Chalo. Stay tuned to the SBC.
Is the president